This is a tour of my shop. A couple of you guys wanted to see what the new shop looked like, and I tell you, it's half the size of my old one. I'm still getting stuff organized out here because I have, a lot of work to do in real life. But this is what I got here, and it's not bad. Like I said, it's half the size. I had to seriously reorganize a lot of stuff, but this is my main workbench right over here. There's a T-bench right there. That's what I use for the neck resets. That's the same T-bench that's been in a lot of my videos. I kept that. I bought this smaller bench right here, and really I want to go back to my storage and get my bigger bench now that I've figured out how to make everything work here. The reason is this bench, I built this for, I don't know what I built it for. I think maybe I took it to Kaufman Camp with me one year. And it's about 4 inches shorter than the other bench. So a guitar is kind of a tight fit in there. And I would rather have the bigger bench right now. But this is working. And I got plenty of room over here for that bigger bench. I'll have to move these shelves right here. These shelves were all in here when we bought this property. And I'm just using them for right now until I figure out how to make this space work. And it's not a bad system of shelves, but it could be a lot better organized, and I'm going to get it more organized as we move along here. So here's one guitar over here. I'm not taking guitars. I've got 3 coming in for the winter, and that's going to keep me plenty occupied. One of the things I've got to do in this building is figure out how it's going to handle the winters. And I'm up here in northeast New Mexico at 8,500 feet. There's a ski slope right out the window right here. So there's going to be a lot of snow, a lot of cold, and I don't know how well this little building is going to handle it. So therefore, I don't want to get a bunch of guitars in here and not have the time to see that the insulation's coming down. And I've already tacked that up. I got to go up there and put some chicken wire across that to hold that insulation up. That sort of thing. So there's a lot of work to be done here yet still. I put this insulation, which I had already, as a wall. I stuck that up there, and that's to hold the fiberglass insulation up. It also is white, so it reflects the light for me. And then over here, on these attic things, which are really useful for storing stuff. There's my insulation. I've got tons of boxes. That thing is almost full of packing material. And so what I did was I hung that sheet of plastic down in order to keep the heat and the humidity into the main room. I did the same thing over here on that section. Hung that sheet of plastic over, and there's where I keep guitar boxes and stuff. So that's kind of handy. So anyways, point of all this, you see, is I don't know how well this building is going to handle the winter, and I've got to find that out before I get a bunch of expensive guitars in here and have a cold snap, crack all the finishes. You understand? This is my wood cabinet. My mother had this, and she was going to get rid of it, and I said, shoot, that'd be really nice for the shop. Keep my bridge plates, bridge blanks, stuff like that. Keep them out of the dust, and also to create a little bit of a mini humidity thing for them, so I can keep them. If my humidifier failed, the humidity would remain fairly consistent inside that little thing. I just thought it was a useful thing. Here's a humidifier, same humidifier I've been using for 100 years. I bet I've replaced the fan twice in it already, and it's doing pretty good. I keep the date at which I changed the filter, and let me tell you what, there are good filters and there are bad filters, and I paid money for the better filters, which are in a box somewhere, and I'll show you some other time on those. That's my little heater, and that was in the other shop too. It came with me over here, works great. Hooked up to propane right there. I had them put propane from the main propane tank, which is right out here. I had them run a propane line to me here, so that's kind of a nice thing. because in the old shop I had a propane bottle, and granted it was a fairly big bottle, but anytime I had a big snowstorm or something like that coming in, I had to make sure that propane bottle was full. A couple times I had it go out on me, and I would have an electric heater as a backup. This electric heater was in here in this shop, and we got it, and it's just about worthless. I'm going to probably pull it out of the wall next summer and do something else there. So, but I mean, this is the basic little shop. It's not much, you know. I'm not showing off my shop here. I'm just trying to show you my working conditions and why I don't want 15 guitars in here. Number one, I don't have the space to put them. And number two, I have a completely different full-time job now. It keeps me unpredictably busy, and that's the problem. It's hard to get my schedule. I deal with lots and lots of emergencies, and I just don't have a predictable schedule. Out on the ranch, during the winter, we didn't have cattle, and so the winter was pretty much my time, and my schedule was much more predictable. It was much more what I needed to do. So there's my clamps. This bench again was in here when I moved in here, so I just put it to use to see again how the space in this shop works. And that bench is not bad, but it's poorly constructed and it's weak. So I guess next summer, next spring, I'll probably just completely rebuild it, make it a lot stronger. It's about 2 inches too high. So to get to that drill press, I have to kind of, I have to reach too high. Same thing with belt sander. I don't like the orientation of the belt sander. I don't like it running across the bench like that. I like to have this round end pointed at me. But in order to get the hose coming out, that's what I have to do. So I'm going to probably redo this bench completely next year. Again, after I find out how this space works for me. And you know, I'm using a shop vacuum now for dust collection. I used a Grizzly dust collector in the other shop, and honestly, it was a pain in the butt because it wasn't flexible, it didn't move around, and I still had this shop vacuum out there in order to do things like clean up the floor, clean up the dust around over here and that kind of thing. So I just left for Grizzly and started using the shop vacuum here. But I will rearrange a lot of this in order to make it more efficient ergonomically. There's a bandsaw here. I picked this bandsaw up here locally. It turns out that my bookkeeper, her ex-husband, her late husband, was a pretty good woodworker, and so she had quite a selection of bandsaws for me. I paid $100 for this. It's a very old Craftsman. It doesn't have a whole lot of power, but gosh, it can, you know, it had the stand, it had the switch, it had the saw, the motor's back here, and for $100, I just couldn't beat that. My son took my old bandsaw, really nice Grizzly 14-inch, really nice heavy-duty cutting bandsaw, and he started using it because he's making knives and that sort of thing, and cuts out blanks, and so I left it with him. And this one's suiting my purposes pretty good. I need to get a fence for it. It doesn't have a fence, so I just take a piece of wood right there, clamp it onto the table, and it works fine, you know. Again, seeing how things work. So, that's my shop. I still have boxes down here that I got to unpack, but at least I know what's in them. And I don't know where I'm going to put everything. The hardest thing about working in this shop right now is trying to find stuff. Because for 20 years, you know, I was in the other building, and I had, this is right here at my right hand, and this is right here at my left hand, and I knew where everything was. And that's difficult here. I spend a lot of time looking for where in the world that stupid tool is right now. So I'm getting it down, okay? I have to keep my glue over here so that it's near the heater so it doesn't get real cold. This glue is Luthier's Mercantile glue. And if it gets below about 50 degrees, around 50 degrees, it gets real thick and hard to work. So I store them over here next to the heater and try to keep everybody in shape. So, okay, that's a quick video of the shop. I talk too much. Yeah, if I keep doing this, you know, if I get through the winter successfully and do a couple of guitars in here and see how this shop works out and where I want things and how the space works for me, whether this building even works or not, then I will rebuild. And I will come out here and reorganize, restructure, redo a lot of these benches, figure out where I want stuff to go, and do all that kind of thing. So we'll see how it goes. But I guarantee you, I'm going to be working on a much more limited basis just because of my schedule. I try to do a couple of guitars because I love working on 70s. I just love working on somebody's 70s Martin that sounds terrible, and I know I can make it sound better. And I can't resist the guys. Don't use this against me, okay? But I can't resist the guys that say, well, this is my dad's guitar and he passed away and somebody else worked on it and now it sounds terrible and I really want to get it working. And I know that I can work on that guitar. And I don't understand why people won't do bridge plates and things like that when they can, you know, a guy that can retop a guitar ought to be able to do a bridge plate. But a lot of people won't. They won't scoot the bridge back. They won't fix all those problems of the 70s, and I know I can do it. So, you know, I tend to take those guitars. So, but again, very, 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 very limited. So, all right, battery's running out. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.